Hey, my name is Darson Grantham. I'm a realtor and investor here in Des Moines, Iowa. And on this video, I'm going to go through the top 3 questions that I get asked by investors when they're looking to invest in Des Moines. So investing in Des Moines, 3 questions everyone seems to ask when they're ready to buy their property. First question is, what's the crime like in Des Moines? As a realtor, I hate this question because ethically, legally, I can't steer you into a direction to buy in one part of the city or the other. What I can tell you is that dsm.city has a website, and it's Des Moines crime mapping. So it's basically all of the police calls, all of the crime mapping that happens in Des Moines on a map. And this website is fantastic for Des Moines proper. Now, when you get into the suburbs, your Ankeny, your Urbandale, your Waukee, your Norwalk, Altoona, that isn't on this map. But if you're looking at Des Moines proper, this map is incredible. And I'll put the link below so you can click on it and look at it yourself. But you can see there's some quadrants that have more crime than other quadrants. Now, that's not to say that buying investment properties there is bad. You just know that it's possible there's crime there. It's possible there's crime everywhere. So keep that in mind. Again, this website tells you what the crime rate is, what types of crime they are. It's really, really, really good. So highly recommend you utilize that. But one of the things that I'll tell anyone is there is nowhere in Des Moines that is somewhere that I wouldn't walk my kids and my family in a stroller during the day. I just would. None of it bothers me. Now, if you have folks that have a different background and mindset than myself, you might not be able to walk through different areas of Des Moines. That's totally on you. I'm not going to tell you one way or another. There's no right or wrong. All I can do is say there is a website that you can see the crime mapping. And then you can also, I would highly, highly recommend this, is network with other investors to help you understand how their tenant base is in different parts of the city. Now, with those 2 words of wisdom, you're not going to go wrong. You're not going to buy in a place and then not realize that it was really bad crime. You're just not, as long as you do your due diligence. So use your resources. My number 2 question that everyone always seems to ask me is, what's the cash flow like in Des Moines? What's going to be my cash on cash return? Cash on cash return, using one metric to judge whether you should buy a rental property or not, drives me bonkers. It's not what you should do. As a smart investor, you have to pick what many metrics makes a good investment for you. It just is. Now, if you're trying to replace your job and you're trying to buy on market in a city that's booming because you want cash flow, again, to replace your W-2 job, you probably shouldn't be buying in that area. Just not. Definitely not Des Moines. Des Moines is not going to get you all of the cash flow that you're going to see to replace your job if you're buying on market. Now, my caveat to that is, if you're marketing, if you're wholesaling, you're sending mailers, maybe working with some wholesalers, buying some of their properties, it may be possible to buy a property, rehab it, and then rent it out and refinance it. Your typical BRRRR investing, made popular by the, of course, Brandon Turner at Bigger Pockets. So keep that in mind. When you're coming to Des Moines and you're trying to buy cash flow primarily to replace your job, if sooner than that, than in the next 5 years, you're probably not buying on market without significant discounts. And right now, August of 2021, there's not significant discounts to be had on market. Off market, you can find those deals. People do it every day. People do it in the hottest market. People do it in the worst market. It's possible, but just keep that in mind. If you're, expecting tons of cash on cash return out of on market properties in Des Moines, you need to look elsewhere. Now, cash on cash means something different to everyone. And I say that because if you're 100% financing a property and you're cash flowing $1, that is infinite cash on cash return. Now, is that something that anyone, like, would someone buy that? Maybe. Not everyone's going to buy that, but it's something to think about. On the flip side of that, if you're putting 90% down on a property, your cash on cash return is going to be very good because you have very little financed. Now, your cash on cash return is going to change depending on your financing. My recommendation would be, if you're going to use one metric, use a cap rate. Figure out what the expenses are and figure out what the return is less any financing, because financing extrapolates one way or the other any property you purchase. So if you're going to use one method, I would use cap rate. It's just like your stock market, where your ROI, your interest return, is, say, on average 8% over the last 10 years. That is the same number as using your cap rate. That's number 2 for questions that investors typically ask me before looking and investing in the Des Moines market is, what is my cash on cash rate of return? And, well, quite frankly, to answer that question is the big ol', it depends. Everyone hates that question, but I hate calculating based on cash on cash, because it's not an accurate way to track the validity of the investment, in my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Number 3 for questions that I get asked when someone is looking to invest in Des Moines is, can you help me network with other people within the investing community of Des Moines? And my answer is yes, of course I can. And quite frankly, I'm the weirdo realtor that says, if you're looking for like really killer deals in Des Moines, you need to network with as many people as possible. That might even mean not using only one realtor. Now, my caveat to that is if we go look at properties that are on market and then you go buy with a different realtor, I'm going to be a little spicy about that, and I'm probably not going to help you out anymore. But if you want to network, if you want to give your pre-qualifications to a list of real estate agents that work with investment style properties, I think that is really smart business decision. Now, it is up to you to sell that agent on them sending you the deal as opposed to sending one of their other clients the deal. But quite frankly, that's just smart business out of you. So I would highly recommend it. The other thing I would do is shoot me an email below, and I can send it, I can text it over, but I've got 3 lenders that I recommend, 3 property managers that I recommend. I got, probably 2 or 3 contractors that I recommend. And then obviously when you get a property under contract, I'll give you 3 inspectors that I recommend. All of them, I've had good experiences with all of them. To be real candid, everyone has a downfall. Everyone has had bad customers. Everyone has had bad experiences. And so if any of them treat you poorly, let me know. I would love to hear about it. But from my experience, most of them have been fantastic to work with for my clients. And I've referred them over 60 times in the last year, because that's about how many closings I've had. And so yes, they know what they're doing. They're professional. They're top of their industry. So if you have questions on how to build your network within Des Moines, I would, reach out to me. I'm happy to help out. Again, my name is Darson Grantham. I'm an investor. I'm a realtor here in Des Moines, Iowa. And one of the things that I'm doing on this channel is just educating people about what it looks like to invest in real estate in Des Moines, Iowa, network in Des Moines, Iowa, what do deals look like in Des Moines, Iowa, and then also just tips and tricks on personal finance, how you can make sure that you're not stepping on your toes from this transaction to the next transaction, and making sure that you're putting resources at your fingertips to make sure that you make the best financial decision in your purchase when you're working with me. So that's what I do. If any of that intrigues you, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. I would love for you to pay attention to this channel, get more notifications when I either go live or when new videos are dropped. I do drop them every week, and they're here to educate and entertain. Hopefully more education, because I'm not real entertaining, but maybe we'll, flip that switch when it comes. But anyway, Again, my name is Darson Grantham. I'm a realtor and investor here in Des Moines, Iowa. Love to help out. Reach out. Until next time, peace.